let's get Android Studio installed and set up on Linux so that we can start building Android apps with Quasar. First up, we're going to head over to developer.android.com. Scroll down just a little bit and select Download Android Studio. Android Studio is what we'll use to essentially run our application. And it also installs all the other bits and pieces that we need to get apps up and running on Android. So I'll download Android Studio, read this super fast, and then download Android Studio. And congratulations to me, I earned the Android Studio user badge. Dismiss. I already did this earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel that download and double click on the one I downloaded earlier to open up the Archive Manager. Now we can select Extract, and then behind the scenes, I selected my Downloads folder. So I'm not going to extract it to where it's going to end up. First, I'm going to extract it into the Download folder, and then we'll move it to where we need it. Okay, that's done. Close this out, and then open up my terminal. And by the way, all of these steps are taken from the Android website under their install section, so you can go ahead and take a look at that in the link attached to this video if you'd rather just follow the instructions yourself. Next, we need to move the extracted file, move home directory /downloads, Android Studio, and I'm going to send that to /user/local/. This is just going to be for my user profile. However, if it was for shared users, you might want to do /opt/. Okay, /user/local/, and I'm probably going to need to add sudo to that. There we go, so that's done. Let's jump into that directory. cd user/local/Android Studio, and I'm going to run studio.sh. This is what we can do to basically get everything set up. Oh, I think I need a tack on bin there. There we go. And now we can start installing Android Studio. Don't send user statistics. Next. You can click on Custom here if you want to get a feel for what's being installed. Yours might look a little bit different to this because some of these files have already been installed on my system. If you want to save space, you might want to untick Android Virtual Device. This basically installs an entire Android phone onto your computer so that you can test directly on your computer. However, if you have a phone at home that you can use, I recommend testing that way. It's a little bit closer to reality, and in my experience, things tend to run smoother and a little bit faster. Okay, previous, I'm going to leave that on standard and then press next again. Next, and it's saying here that it's detected that my system can run Android in an accelerated performance mode. So the emulator can basically run faster if I do some stuff. So if you get that message and you want to run Android inside your computer, like a virtual phone in your computer, then you might want to click on this link here to figure out how to get that performance benefit. Okay, so I don't need to worry about that for now. Let's click on Finish. So there we go. Android Studio is installed and ready to use. So I'm going to cross out of that, open up our app. For me, that's inside of code/Quasar Playground. And to run an Android app, we do Quasar dev, set the mode equal to Capacitor, and we also need to set the target, and notice that's a capital T, to Android. The reason we do this is because Capacitor is going to work for Android and iOS, so it just wants us to be a little bit more specific. Now, I'm actually going to copy that, Control-Shift-C, open up my package.json, and we're going to create a faster way to run that script, simply because it's a little bit long for what we need to do. Let's say dev:\Android, and I'm adding this to my package.json so that whenever we run this command, it automatically runs that script. And even if Quasar isn't installed globally, this is going to work for you. The Quasar CLI is automatically installed in every project, so build tools like Yarn are going to pick that up and we'll be able to use the Quasar command line, even if it's not installed globally. So I thought that was worth pointing out. And let's see if we can run this dev Android command. Closing that out, yarn dev:\Android. And by the way, if you were using npm, you would have to say npm run here. Okay, yarn dev :android. It might ask you to select an IP address here if you have more than one. And now I get this window asking me if I want to trust this project. I'm going to select the tick here to trust everything in that folder and then click on Trust Project. Here we go. Android Studio is up and running. It might take a little while for some things to build. So you might notice that at the bottom right here, there are some build processes that start. So you're going to have to wait until they're all done. That can take a little bit of time on the first run, but then everything goes a lot smoother from then on. And this part's important. Whenever it offers to update the project, do not click on Upgrade. Capacitor handles the upgrades for us, and we don't want to do it automatically, otherwise we might introduce some breaking changes. So we're going to click on More, and since I only use Android Studio for working with Quasar, I'm just going to select Don't Show Again. Now here's my phone showing up because I've plugged it in. In order to get it to show up, we have to put our phone into debug mode. So let me show you the docs that show you how to do that because it's a little bit different for every phone. So we won't go through the entire thing in this video. So after /studio, we can say /debug/dev-options. And if this link isn't live anymore, you should be able to Google how to do this. Now, one important thing to know, once you've enabled developer options, you also need to enable USB debugging on your device. So it's not enough to just enable developer options. We also need to go through this process to enable USB debugging. And like I said, all of this is different from phone to phone. This page gives you a little bit of an idea of how to set all of this up with some of the different popular devices. Okay, so assuming all of that is done, I'm going to close out of this window, select the phone from the drop-down, and then click on Play. This is the moment of truth. Now, a little bit of building is going to occur. This might take a little bit of time for you on the first run, but then after that, it tends to go pretty smoothly. Now, I've already installed this app on this phone before, which is why I'm getting that message. All we have to do is click on OK. So Android Studio is smart enough to say, all right, I can just uninstall this and reinstall it again for you. And it's done. That's now running on my phone. The last step is to open up Chrome's device dev tools so that we can easily inspect what's happening on our phone. So back to the browser, Chrome, Inspect, and then we're going to go to Devices, and you can see here our app running, Quasar Playground. Inspect, and there we go. How cool is that? Now we have all of the web development tools at our fingertips. So stuff like console logging, stuff like viewing the network tab, all of that helpful stuff is now available to us, but it's running on our phone. This is a really wicked developer experience for web developers because we're already used to using all of these tools, but we still have access to a lot of the mobile APIs that we're going to need to use, like tapping into the camera and working with Bluetooth. All of that is available, but we still get to develop in a quote unquote web developer way. Now to finish up, let's run through this whole process from top to bottom, just so you know what it feels like to go to your computer and then start developing a mobile app with Quasar. Exit, we'll shut down the server, and let's just imagine we've sat at our computer and we're ready to start developing. We would say yarn dev :android. That launches up Android Studio. I double check that this is my phone that's selected here, and then press play. And while that's running, I open up the browser and go to Chrome, Inspect. We can see that that's now running on my phone, so we can select Inspect. And now we're ready to go. I would probably throw this on the left side at this point, open up the console, and then I would throw VS Code onto the side, jump into the index page, and we're ready to start developing. So let's change this to blue, and that works, and it updates in real time on my phone. How cool is that? This still blows my mind to this day. So that's how we can get Android development up and running using Capacitor for Quasar on Linux. See you in the next video.